Have you ever wondered why some families preserve wealth across generations, while others see it evaporate in just a few decades? There's a time-tested financial blueprint, refined over centuries within certain communities, yet seldom shared beyond them. Today, you're going to unlock its most potent chapters. I'll walk you through 7 foundational money principles rooted in Jewish tradition. Simple yet powerful guidelines that have helped families safeguard and grow their assets through wars, economic depressions, and market upheavals. You don't need a finance degree to put these into action. They're practical steps anyone can follow. Here's a startling reality. 70% of affluent families lose their fortunes by the second generation, and an astonishing 90% by the third. The ones who beat those odds aren't merely fortunate. They stick to proven systems most people never learn. One of the world's most successful investors, Ray Dalio, delved into these practices and wove many of them into his own strategy. He famously declared that the gravest error is failing to plan for multiple generations. Every principle I share today is a vital piece of that multi-generational approach, a framework that can free you from the same financial traps that ensnare so many others. Listen closely to the first rule, because it's the linchpin separating families that achieve lasting prosperity from those whose success is fleeting. Now, let's jump ahead to rule number 7. Money isn't taboo. Financial education begins early. In countless households, talking about money is almost forbidden. Kids watch parents fret over bills, but never learn budgeting, debt management, or investing. The result? Young adults earning their first paycheck often repeat the very mistakes they witnessed growing up. Jewish families take a radically different stance. From the time children can count, they're invited into age-appropriate discussions about finances. They learn that money is simply a tool, one you can wield to build security and opportunity. A standout method is the 5 jars system. Anytime a child receives money, they distribute it into 5 distinct jars. 10% for charity, 20% for investments, 10% for savings, 50% for necessities, and 10% for fun. This clear-cut approach teaches that every dollar has a purpose. Some of it grows wealth, and some of it helps others. The beauty of this system is its simplicity. You don't have to be part of a specific community or hold a certification. All you need are 5 containers and a modest weekly allowance. When your child gets $10, they put $1 toward giving, $2 into investments, $1 into savings, $5 for their essentials, and $1 to spend. It's never about the dollar amounts, but about building consistent, intent-driven habits. Imagine an 18-year-old who already understands saving, investing, and philanthropy, while their peers are still figuring out credit cards. That early edge translates into real confidence and advantage as an adult. But here's the twist. Even the most thorough financial education can fall short if you miss a critical decision point. By 25, most people make a choice that locks in their financial trajectory for decades. In the next rule, I'll reveal how Jewish families approach that pivotal decision and why it might be the single greatest wealth secret hiding in plain sight. Rule number 6. Treat your career as a mission and focus on smart work, not just hard work. You've probably heard the old saying, work hard and you'll move ahead. There's truth to that, but grinding away at the wrong job is like rowing in a boat with a hole. Lots of effort, no real progress. Instead of telling kids to chase passion alone, a proven approach is steering them into fields that reliably build wealth. Consider this fact. Although Jewish Americans represent less than 2% of the United States population, they dominate high-earning professions such as medicine, law, finance, and technology. That's by design. These sectors share three critical wealth-building elements. They teach in-demand skills, they pay above-average salaries, and they offer leverage, the ability to multiply your impact beyond your own hours. A doctor may see 25 patients a day, while a medical innovator creating a new treatment can help millions. Or think of a tech visionary from a Jewish background who didn't just take a job. He built a platform that scales infinitely, unrestricted by the clock. Meanwhile, a lot of people pick careers based solely on interest or a single paycheck, missing the scalability that fuels genuine wealth. Here's the next principle: never depend on one income stream. Even top professionals develop side ventures or investment portfolios not out of greed, but for security and expansion. When COVID-19 struck and millions lost their sole source of income, those with multiple revenue channels stayed afloat. So right now, ask yourself, does your job simply cover expenses, or is it laying the foundation for real wealth? Could you ignite a second income stream, even on a small scale? Far too many try to go it alone. In truth, almost every significant fortune is backed by a network that opens doors no individual effort could unlock. That brings us to rule number 5. Your network is your net worth. Ever notice how some people effortlessly land prime opportunities while others with the same qualifications struggle? Research shows 85% of positions are filled through networking, not cold applications. Yet many spend endless hours tweaking resumes and applying online, ignoring the relationships that actually move the needle. The same holds for raising capital. Cold calls to investors succeed below 1% of the time. But a warm introduction can boost your odds to over 25%. Take the story of David Dutz, a community entrepreneur who launched a small e-commerce venture. When he needed $50,000 to expand, he bypassed the bank and pitched at his local community hub. Within 2 weeks, he secured 5 investors from his network, negotiated far better terms than any bank would offer, and gained mentors who were genuinely invested in his success. True networking isn't about hoarding business cards or inflating your LinkedIn connections. It's about forging authentic relationships rooted in mutual benefit. In many Jewish households, children learn to ask, "How can I help this person?" before ever requesting anything for themselves. They know that generosity circulates and returns to you multiplied. Kick off your own powerful network today. Identify 3 professionals in your field whom you admire but haven't yet met. Reach out with something of real value, maybe a relevant study, genuine praise for their work, or an introduction they'd appreciate. Don't expect anything back right away. Plant those relationship seeds, nurture them consistently, and you'll soon unlock opportunities you couldn't reach alone. Picture a financial lever concealed right in your own neighborhood that can turbocharge your wealth-building journey. This next principle shows how tight-knit Jewish communities transform their zip codes into economic engines. Rule number 4: money must circulate within the community. Have you noticed how in some areas a single dollar seems to keep local shops humming, while in others, paychecks arrive and the cash immediately flows out to big national chains? It isn't random. It all comes down to spending choices. Jewish communities excel at keeping dollars in their own ecosystem. They understand that every purchase made locally doesn't just buy a product or service. It strengthens the entire neighborhood's economic framework. When you spend at a family-run store owned by someone in your circle, that same dollar might later fund a child's education, back your business venture, or support a community center. Economists call this the local multiplier effect. Research shows money spent at independent businesses recirculates locally at 3 to 5 times the rate of funds directed to large chains. In cohesive Jewish neighborhoods, intentional spending can push that multiplier even higher. Consider 2 scenarios. When John collects his monthly paycheck of $5,000, He heads straight for large retail outlets or massive online platforms, sending most of his income away from his community. Meanwhile, when Sarah receives her paycheck, she deliberately shops at neighborhood stores and hires service providers she knows, keeping her dollars in motion locally and generating widespread prosperity. This principle isn't about boycotting large companies entirely. It's about making conscious spending decisions. Before every major purchase, ask yourself, can I source this from someone in my own network or neighborhood? That slight shift in mindset can, over time, transform the collective wealth of your community. Start by listing 5 products or services you buy regularly that could be provided locally. Instead of ordering books from a massive online retailer, pick them up at your neighborhood bookstore. Need accounting advice? Hire an accountant you know rather than a faceless firm. These small, intentional choices stack up into robust economic resilience for everyone around you. Yet, keeping money circulating locally is only part of the story. There's another habit that distinguishes those who build enduring wealth from those who remain financially fragile. A practice so foundational to Jewish financial success that it's viewed not as an option, but as a solemn obligation. Imagine turning the standard American money mindset on its head. Rule number 3, investing is not optional. It's a financial imperative. Think back to last month. Can you pinpoint exactly how much of your earnings you set aside for investments? For most people, putting money into investments only happens after bills and discretionary spending. In Jewish financial tradition, the order is reversed. Saving and investing come first, before any non-essential expenses. This approach draws from a Talmudic teaching that directs one to split every sum into 3 equal parts: 1 share in land, 1 in business ventures, and 1 kept readily accessible. While today's investment vehicles have evolved far beyond farmland and trade enterprises, the core lesson remains the same: diversify and make investing your top priority. Over time, this disciplined stance can lead to remarkable outcomes. Consider 2 individuals earning the same salary of $60,000 a year. Mike treats investing like an afterthought, slipping money into his retirement plan only when he feels he can afford it. Sarah, however, follows the age-old principle by automatically channeling 20% of each paycheck into her investments before budgeting for anything else. Fast forward 30 years with an average annual return of 7%, and Mike might accumulate $150,000, while Sarah would amass over $1,200,000, an 8-fold difference sparked by a single habit. Building true wealth stretches beyond just stocks and bonds. Traditionally, Jewish households allocate capital across several asset classes: paper assets, equities, fixed income, mutual funds, ownership stakes in businesses, their own or others, and real estate. Each serves a unique role. Property offers a hedge against inflation and tax advantages that stocks can't, while business holdings deliver growth potential that bonds simply cannot match. You can adopt this framework right away, no matter your current account balance. Start by automating transfers on paydays, even if it's only $50 or $100 at a time, so you live on what remains after investing, rather than investing what's left over. If you're new to markets, low-cost index funds give you instant diversification without needing deep expertise. The objective isn't an overnight riches windfall. It's a consistent process of turning earned income into assets that work non-stop on your behalf. That patient, persistent strategy has created more lasting family legacies than any get-rich-quick gimmick ever could. Now let's challenge a common belief. Most people grow up hearing that all debt is bad and must be avoided at all costs. Yet Jewish financial wisdom makes a critical distinction between harmful liabilities and productive forms of leverage. In the next rule, we'll explore how the right kind of borrowing can actually speed up your journey toward financial freedom. Rule number 2. Toxic debt drains your resources, Productive debt fuels your growth. Step into the average household and you'll notice a familiar strain. Consumer loans, credit card balances, auto financing, and buy now, pay later arrangements. Such obligations sap wealth from millions of families. On average, Americans carry over $6,000 in credit card debt alone, often paying interest rates of 18 to 24%, a scenario that would be unthinkable in traditional Jewish financial planning. The key insight is simple. Not all debt is created equal. Not all debt is created equal. Some of it destroys your finances, while other forms can actually build your net worth. Debt that eats away at your wallet is used to buy things that lose value or disappear, like charging an extravagant vacation to your credit card or financing a brand new car that depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot. In contrast, smart borrowing funds assets that appreciate or produce income. Think using a mortgage to acquire a rental home or taking out a loan to expand a profitable business. These two approaches lead to vastly different financial outcomes. Imagine two friends each borrowing $20,000. One uses it to fund a luxury getaway and buy the latest electronics. The other puts it down as a deposit on a $100,000 rental property. Fast forward 5 years. The first friend is left with only memories and outdated gadgets, while the second's property has climbed in value to $130,000 and is generating steady rental income. His tenants are effectively paying off his loan and growing his wealth at the same time. Warren Buffett sums it up best. If you buy things you do not need, soon you have to sell things you do need. Wealthy individuals leverage debt strategically to acquire appreciating assets, whereas many in the middle class borrow to sustain lifestyles they can't truly afford. You can put this principle into action today. Take stock of every debt you have and classify each one as either wealth-building or consumption-driven. Attack the highest interest consumption debts first and wipe them out. Before taking on any new debt, ask yourself, will this borrowing purchase something that will grow in value or generate income? If not, save up and pay cash instead. Real financial freedom doesn't come from owning every toy. It comes from owing nothing on items that lose value. By eliminating destructive debt and using productive debt wisely, you'll move significantly closer to lasting prosperity. Now, here's the ultimate rule, the one that transformed a small banking family into one of history's greatest financial dynasties. Think in generations, not months. Most people budget month to month or plan around yearly taxes, but families with enduring wealth operate on a timeline of decades and even centuries. That long-term perspective reshapes every decision. Consider real estate. Many homeowners sell every 5 to 7 years, focusing on immediate comforts rather than long-term appreciation. Multi-generational families, on the other hand, buy with a 50 to 100-year outlook, choosing locations poised for generational growth and improving structures they'll pass down. This mindset extends to education too. While most parents save for their child's college, dynastic families create education trusts for grandchildren not yet born. The Vanderbilt family, whose fortune has thrived for centuries using similar methods, has funded degrees for 6 straight generations. The mathematics behind this is astonishing. Invest $10,000 at a 7% annual return, and in 20 years, it swells to about $40,000. Stretch that horizon to 75 years, roughly 3 generations, and that same $10,000 balloons to over $1,500,000 without a single extra contribution. Most people never witness that level of growth because they cash out too soon or don't set such far-reaching goals. You can start thinking this way right now. Draft a family mission statement around wealth. Define its purpose, how it should expand, and how it will be stewarded through the generations. Imagine setting up a 529 college savings plan, not only for your children, but also with your grandchildren in mind. For business owners, it is crucial to design a succession blueprint that outlives your years. Even more vital is including younger relatives in financial dialogues from an early age. Outline your guiding principles for investing. Break down your estate planning in terms they can grasp, and progressively assign them more money-related responsibilities. If the next generation does not understand the wealth they inherit, it rarely stays intact. True legacy lies not in dollars alone, but in the financial acumen you pass down. Embracing a generational mindset turns you from a simple wealth consumer into a dedicated steward and creator of an enduring financial heritage. This philosophy, rather than any single asset class, has allowed families, across centuries marked by economic downturns, regime changes, and even persecution, to preserve and expand their fortunes. Now comes the challenge. Pick one of these principles to put into motion this week. Perhaps launch the 5 jars savings system with your children. Start proactively growing your professional network, or arrange automatic transfers into investments before you touch discretionary spending. We have barely begun exploring generational wealth strategies, but by choosing a single action and following through, you set in motion a path toward lasting financial independence. Remember, real wealth offers freedom, security, and the capacity to uplift future generations. Your journey toward financial empowerment begins with one decisive step.